The Concordiat defense fleet maintained their position at the outer reaches of the Helios sector, their crystalline ships reflecting the distant starlight like a field of diamonds suspended in the void. Admiral Vexthor, his iridescent scales shifting with tension, studied the holographic display before him. A single human vessel hung motionless against the backdrop of space, its design unlike anything the Concordiat had encountered in their 1,000 years of space exploration. Status report. Vexthor commanded, his secondary eyes focusing on the tactical readouts, while his primary set remained fixed on the mysterious ship. Sir, the vessel designates itself as the TES Prometheus, reported his second-in-command. Commander Zira, mass readings are inconsistent with its size, and our scanners cannot penetrate its outer hull. They're requesting diplomatic channels. The Admiral's facial ridges contracted in thought. Humanity had only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago, yet here they were brazenly entering Concordiat space with technology that defied conventional analysis. Intelligence suggested they were still using primitive fusion drives and basic deflector shields. This ship suggested otherwise. Open the channel, Vexthor ordered, straightening his ceremonial collar. The holographic display shifted, revealing a human female with silver-streaked black hair and eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. Admiral Vexthor. She spoke, her voice carrying an authority that transcended species barriers. I am Captain Elena Santos of the Terran Expeditionary Service. We come with a warning and an offer of alliance. Vexthor's scales rippled with barely contained amusement. Captain Santos, you enter restricted space with a single vessel, facing a fleet that could reduce your ship to its constituent atoms. What warning could possibly warrant such boldness? Elena's expression remained unchanged. The kind that concerns the Void Harbingers. Admiral, we know they're coming, and we know your people have been fighting them in secret for centuries. The bridge fell silent. The Void Harbingers were the Concordiat's most closely guarded secret, ancient entities that emerged from the dark spaces between galaxies, consuming civilizations whole. How could the humans know? You speak of things beyond your understanding. Vexthor replied carefully, his scales now shifting to a defensive pattern. Your species is young, barely able to traverse the stars. Elena smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Youth has its advantages, Admiral. We see patterns that ancient eyes might miss. The Prometheus carries proof of our claims, and more importantly, a solution. But first, we need to discuss the nature of deception, both yours and ours. She touched a control on her chair, and suddenly the Concordiat's sensors exploded with new readings. The Prometheus's hull seemed to ripple, revealing layers of technology that shouldn't exist. Quantum matrices, dimensional folders, and energy signatures that defy classification. Impossible, whispered Commander Zira, her crystalline appendages trembling. These readings suggest technological advancement beyond even the ancient precursors. Not impossible, Elena corrected. Just improbable. Humanity learned early to hide its true nature. While other species built their civilizations on the foundations of those who came before, we chose a different path. We looked into the void between dimensions and found our own answers. Vexthor's scales had shifted to a deep blue of concern. If what you say about the Harbingers is true, why come to us with only one ship? Why not bring your fleet? Elena's smile widened slightly. Admiral, who said we only have one ship? The sensors suddenly registered a cascade of spatial distortions throughout the sector. Phantom readings appeared and disappeared, suggesting the presence of vessels that existed in states of quantum uncertainty. The Concordiat fleet's defensive systems began registering threats from directions that shouldn't exist in normal space. What you see is but a fraction of what humanity has achieved, Elena continued. We've learned to bend reality itself, to exist in multiple states simultaneously. The Prometheus isn't just a ship. It's a key to understanding how to fight the Harbingers on their own terms. Vexthor studied the human captain with new respect and a hint of fear. His species had evolved from apex predators, Yet something in Elena's calm demeanor triggered ancient survival instincts. You've been preparing for this moment. Since our first radio telescope detected the Harbinger's quantum signatures, yes. We knew we needed allies who understood the threat, who had fought them before. The Concordiate's encounters with the Harbingers left traces, subtle distortions in spacetime that we learned to read like a book. The Admiral made a decision. Stand down, alert status. He commanded his fleet. To Elena, he said, I believe we have much to discuss, Captain Santos. But remember, deception works both ways. We may be older, but we're far from obsolete. Elena nodded solemnly. That's exactly why we chose the Concordiate, Admiral. The coming war will require both wisdom and innovation. The Harbingers think in patterns spanning millions of years. To defeat them, we'll need to think in ways they cannot predict. As the Prometheus moved to dock with the Concordiate flagship, Vex Thor couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would reshape the galaxy's power structure forever. Humanity had played their hand masterfully, hiding their true nature until the perfect moment. The question remained, what other secrets did they hold, and would they prove to be saviors or something far more dangerous? The first moves in a cosmic chess game had been made, and the stakes were nothing less than the survival of all sentient life. The deception was over, but the true game was just beginning. Within the crystalline conference chamber aboard the Concordiate flagship, Captain Elena Santos stood before a gathering of the most powerful military minds in the sector. The room's prismatic walls reflected countless versions of her determined expression as she activated the quantum holographic projector she'd brought from the Prometheus. What you're about to see, she began, is why humanity chose isolation during our early years of space travel. The projection sparked to life, showing a three-dimensional map of the known galaxy, but with overlays that made the Concordiate officers' facial ridges twitch in disbelief. These are quantum probability waves, Elena explained, gesturing to the shifting patterns that flowed between the stars like cosmic currents. While your civilization mastered conventional space travel, we focused on understanding the fabric of reality itself. We discovered that space isn't just three-dimensional. It's a tapestry of infinite possibilities existing simultaneously. Admiral Vex Thor leaned forward, his scales shifting to a deep purple of intellectual curiosity. You claim these waves are how the Void Harbingers travel. Not exactly, Elena replied, manipulating the display. The image zoomed in on a particular region where the quantum waves formed a complex knot. They don't travel through space at all. They exist in all spaces at once, choosing when and where to collapse into our reality. That's why conventional weapons and defenses have never worked against them. Commander Zira's crystalline form refracted light in patterns of skepticism. If what you say is true, how can they be fought at all? Elena's expression hardened. By changing the rules of existence itself, the Prometheus isn't just a ship. It's a prototype reality engine. We've learned to manipulate the quantum probability field that underlies all of existence. Where the Harbingers collapse reality to their will, we've learned to expand it. The hologram shifted again, showing the Prometheus's true structure. Beneath its conventional exterior lay layers of machinery that seemed to fold in on themselves in impossible ways, creating spaces that shouldn't exist within normal geometry. Our ship, Elena continued, can generate localized fields where the normal laws of physics become negotiable. We can create bubbles of space where time flows differently, where the speed of light is variable, where cause and effect become suggestions rather than laws. The room erupted in murmurs of disbelief and concern. Admiral Vex Thor raised a hand for silence. Such technology, it violates every natural law we know. Nature's laws are more flexible than anyone imagined, Elena countered. The Harbingers proved that eons ago. We've simply learned to exploit the same principles they use, but with a uniquely human twist. She touched another control, and the hologram showed historical footage from Earth's early experiments. Vessels similar to the Prometheus, but smaller, creating controlled anomalies in spacetime. We spent decades perfecting this technology in secret. While other species watched our apparent struggles with basic fusion drives, we were learning to bend reality itself. But why reveal this now? Vex Thor demanded. Why not continue your deception? Elena's expression grew grave. Because we've detected something that changes everything. The hologram shifted one final time, showing a massive disturbance in the quantum probability field, spreading like a cancer through the galaxy's outer rim. The harbingers aren't just coming. They're evolving. They're learning to manipulate reality on a scale we've never seen before. Within 5 years, they'll be able to collapse entire sectors of space into singular points of absolute entropy. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Commander Zira's crystalline form had taken on a pale, almost transparent quality of fear. How can we possibly stand against such power? Elena smiled, but it was a smile of grim determination rather than joy. By understanding that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, it's our ability to think in ways other species consider impossible. The Prometheus isn't just a weapon or a ship. It's a proof of concept. She gestured, and the hologram showed a network of quantum probability nodes threading throughout human space. We've spent the last decade seeding every system we could reach with quantum resonators. Individually, they're practically undetectable. Together, they form a vast network capable of manipulating spacetime on a galactic scale. You're proposing to alter the fundamental nature of reality itself, Vex Thor stated, his scales now showing patterns that hadn't been seen since the ancient wars of his species. No, Admiral, Elena corrected. We're proposing to give reality a choice. The harbingers force their will upon existence. We're offering existence tools to fight back. But we need the Concordiate's help. Your people's understanding of crystalline computing, combined with our quantum manipulation technology, could be the key to saving not just our civilizations, but the very nature of reality itself. As the implications of her words settled over the chamber, Elena activated one final display. It showed the Prometheus's core, a sphere of pure possibility where the normal laws of physics cease to have meaning. This is humanity's gift to the galaxy, not just a weapon, but a new way of thinking about existence itself. The question is, are you ready to help us use it? The answer would determine not just the fate of their civilizations, but the very nature of reality in their galaxy. The hidden purpose of humanity's isolation and apparent technological backwardness was finally revealed. They hadn't been falling behind. They'd been preparing for a war that would be fought not with ships and weapons, but with the fabric of existence itself. The void between galaxies rippled as the first Harbinger vessels emerged. They didn't so much move through space as tear through it, leaving reality frayed in their wake. The Concordiate human defense fleet held position at the quantum node network's edge, watching as impossibility made itself manifest. Elena stood on the Prometheus's bridge, watching tactical displays show the approaching horror. The Harbinger ships defied conventional geometry, their forms shifting between states of matter like fever dreams given mass. Status of the quantum network. All nodes synchronized, her XO, Commander James Chen, reported. Reality anchor fields are holding at 97% coherence. The Concordiate crystal ships are amplifying the effect beyond our projections. Admiral Vex Thor's holographic image appeared on the bridge. Captain Santos, the Harbinger fleet is larger than any we've encountered in our species' history. Our models suggest they've adapted to conventional spacetime manipulation. Good thing we're not using conventional methods, Elena replied, activating the ship's core systems. The Prometheus's quantum reality engine hummed to life, its impossible geometries beginning to affect local spacetime. All ships, execute Operation Labyrinth. The combined fleet began moving in patterns that seemed random but followed quantum probability curves only the human ships could see. The Harbinger's initial attack passed through spaces where ships had been microseconds before, their reality-warping weapons finding only empty void. They're adapting, Chen warned as new readings flooded his displays. The Harbingers are attempting to collapse our probability fields. Elena smiled grimly. Now, Admiral. The Concordiate crystal ships activated their newly modified cores, each one amplifying the quantum resonance network humanity had spent years establishing. Space itself began to shimmer as layers of reality overlapped and intersected. What you're seeing, Elena broadcast to the fleet, is the true nature of our defense. We didn't build one ship, we built one moment, spread across infinite possibilities. The Prometheus' reality engine reached full power, and suddenly the ship existed in multiple states simultaneously. The Harbinger's attacks passed through phantom images, while the real ship occupied spaces between conventional dimensions. But the enemy was ancient and clever. Their next attack targeted the quantum network itself, attempting to unravel the very fabric of space-time that humanity had so carefully manipulated. Several Concordiate ships vanished as reality buckled around them. They're trying to collapse the entire sector into a singular timeline, Chen reported, his hands dancing across control surfaces that shifted between states of matter. If they succeed, our advantage is lost. Elena's eyes narrowed. They still think in linear terms. Show them why that's a mistake. Execute Protocol Omega. The Prometheus's core pulsed, and suddenly the quantum network wasn't just maintaining multiple realities, it was creating them. Each human ship became a nexus of possibility, existing in thousands of potential states simultaneously. The Harbingers found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to commit to a single reality. Remarkable. Vex Thor's voice carried notes of awe. His translator couldn't quite convey. You're not just bending reality. You're allowing it to defend itself. Reality wants to exist, Elena explained as she coordinated the fleet's movements through probability space. The Harbingers force it to conform to their will. We give it options. The battle reached its crescendo as the Harbingers launched their ultimate weapon, a cascade of entropy designed to collapse all possible timelines into a single dead reality. But as the wave of uncreation approached, the human ships executed their final gambit. The Prometheus and its sister ships synchronized their reality engines, creating a resonance cascade through the quantum network. Instead of fighting the entropy wave, they embraced it, using its own energy to multiply the number of possible realities exponentially. Space itself seemed to shatter and reform as the laws of physics engaged in warfare with themselves. The Harbingers found their weapon turned against them as every possible outcome of their attack happened simultaneously, including their own destruction. Reality anchor fields at critical mass, Chen announced. We're approaching a universal probability cascade. Elena broadcast to all ships. This is the breaking point, the moment where we stop playing by anyone else's rules. All ships, initiate quantum lock. Let's show them why humanity chose to master the art of infinite possibility. The combined fleet's technology merged with the quantum fabric of space itself, creating a new kind of existence where the difference between ship and reality, between weapon and space-time, between possibility and actuality, ceased to have meaning. The Harbingers, for the first time in their ancient history, faced an enemy that didn't just bend reality, but gave reality itself the tools to fight back. Their fleet began to dissolve, not through destruction, but through an infinity of possibilities where they simply ceased to be. As the quantum cascade reached its peak, Elena sent one final message to the enemy. You tried to break reality to your will. We taught reality how to break you instead. The void between galaxies rippled one final time, but not with the Harbinger's passage. Instead, it rippled with possibility, with the birth of a new kind of space-time, where humanity's gift of infinite choice had become woven into the fabric of existence itself. The aftermath of the quantum cascade painted strange colors across space-time. The Prometheus hung suspended in a sea of possibility, its reality engine pulsing with power as it maintained the new laws of physics humanity had written into existence. But victory had come at a price. Damage report, Elena called out, her voice steady despite the rivulets of blood running from her nose, a side effect of existing in multiple probability states simultaneously. Reality anchor fields are stabilizing. Chen reported, his own form flickering between quantum states. The Concordia fleet is realigning with primary spacetime, but we've lost contact with 30% of their ships. They're not destroyed. They just exist in probability spaces we can't currently access. Admiral Vexthor's image appeared, though it seemed to lag across several timelines at once. Captain Santos, what have you done? The quantum readings, they're unlike anything in our historical records. We've given the universe antibodies, Alina explained, bringing up a holographic display of the surrounding space. The quantum probability field now showed new patterns, self-organizing structures that hadn't existed before. The reality engine didn't just defeat the harbingers. It taught spacetime how to resist them. The display showed the remnants of the Harbinger fleet, but they weren't destroyed in the conventional sense. Instead, they were trapped in probability loops, experiencing every possible outcome of their attack simultaneously, unable to collapse into any single reality. The network, Chen announced, it's evolving. The quantum nodes are rewriting themselves, creating new patterns we didn't program. Elena nodded. Because we didn't just build a weapon, we built an immune system. The universe itself is learning from what we've done. Vexthor's scales shifted through colors of awe and concern. You knew this would happen. This was your plan all along. Humanity's greatest strength, Elena replied, isn't our technology or our ability to manipulate reality. It's our understanding that the best way to win isn't to be the strongest. It's to change the rules of the game entirely. The tactical displays showed the quantum network spreading, carried by the ripples of the reality cascade. Everywhere it touched, space-time began organizing itself into new patterns, creating defenses against the kind of reality manipulation the Harbingers employed. We didn't need a fleet, Elena continued, directing the Prometheus through the newly transformed space. We needed one perfect moment. One point where we could show the universe itself how to fight back. The Harbingers spent eons learning to break reality. We spent decades teaching reality how to heal itself. The Concordia ships that had survived were adapting to the new physics, their crystalline structures resonating with the quantum fields in ways their builders had never imagined possible. The boundary between technology and reality was becoming increasingly blurred. But the cost, Vexthor observed, watching as sections of space flickered between states of existence. Some of these probability spaces may never realign with primary reality. Evolution always comes with a price, Elena acknowledged. But we've given the universe something it never had before: choice. Every point in spacetime now has the potential to exist in multiple states, to resist being forced into a single possibility. The Prometheus's sensors detected new quantum structures forming throughout the sector. Space itself was developing complexity, learning to maintain multiple probability states simultaneously. The Harbinger's strength, their ability to collapse reality to their will, had become their greatest weakness. We should have seen it sooner, Vexthor mused, his scales showing patterns of deep understanding. Your species' apparent technological limitations, your focus on a single ship, you weren't building weapons to fight in this reality. You were building tools to change the nature of reality itself. Elena smiled, though the expression existed across several quantum states at once. The best deception is the one that's true from a certain point of view. We really did only build one ship that mattered. We just made sure that one ship could exist in every possibility at once. The quantum cascade continued to spread, carrying with it humanity's gift to the universe, the ability to maintain multiple states of existence simultaneously, to resist any force that would impose a single reality. The Harbinger's defeat wasn't just military, it was existential. They had sought to dominate reality, only to find that humanity had taught reality how to dominate them instead. As the Prometheus guided the surviving fleet through the transformed space, Elena reflected on the true nature of their victory. They hadn't just won a battle, they had fundamentally changed the rules of existence itself. The universe would never be the same, and that had been humanity's plan all along. 1 year after the quantum cascade, the galaxy had become something new. The Prometheus drifted through the transformed space near Earth, its reality engine now part of a vast network that maintained the new laws of physics humanity had introduced to the universe. Elena stood in the observation dome, watching probability waves ripple across the visible spectrum. Reality itself had evolved, developing complex structures that protected it from manipulation and collapse. The Harbinger's remnants still existed, trapped in eternal probability loops, serving as object lessons in the dangers of trying to impose absolute order on infinite possibility. The final reports are in from the Concordia exploration fleets, Chen said, joining her at the viewport. The quantum network has spread to nearly 60% of known space. Reality itself is becoming resistant to manipulation. Not resistant, Elena corrected, watching a nearby star fluctuate through multiple quantum states. Selective. The universe now chooses which possibilities it allows to manifest. The door whispered open as Admiral Vexthor entered, his scales now permanently shifted to display quantum probability patterns, a side effect of prolonged exposure to the new physics. The Galactic Council has concluded its deliberations, he announced. They finally accepted that there's no going back to the old reality. Was there much resistance? Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. Less than expected, Vexthor replied. It's difficult to argue against success, especially when that success has fundamentally altered the nature of existence itself, though many still struggle to accept that humanity planned this from the beginning. Elena turned from the viewport, facing her allies. We didn't plan everything. We couldn't. What we did was create the conditions for change and trust that reality itself would choose the best path forward. The holographic displays showed the spread of the quantum network, but more importantly, they showed its evolution. What had started as a human-designed system had become something far more complex, a living framework of possibility that grew and adapted on its own. The irony, Chen observed, is that we achieved this by appearing to do the opposite of what every other species expected. While they built bigger fleets and more powerful weapons, we focused on understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself. And that understanding led you to build just one ship, Vexthor added, his tone carrying newfound respect. One perfect key to unlock the universe's potential. Elena nodded. The Harbingers believed that power came from forcing reality to obey their will. We discovered that true power comes from giving reality the freedom to choose its own path. Outside the viewport, space rippled with new possibilities. Ships no longer simply traveled through space. They negotiated with it, existing in multiple states until reality itself chose the most harmonious outcome. The age of brute force was over, replaced by an era of infinite possibility. The question remains, Vexthor said, his scales shifting through patterns of curiosity. What will humanity do now? You've fundamentally altered the nature of existence itself. What's left to achieve? Elena smiled, activating a new display that showed the quantum probability waves extending beyond the galaxy's edge. Now we explore. We've given the universe tools to defend itself. In return, it's showing us possibilities we never imagined existed. The Prometheus's reality engine pulsed in harmony with the quantum network, its single ship design now serving as a template for a new kind of vessel, one that didn't fight against the fabric of space-time, but worked in partnership with it. Our legacy isn't the technology, or even the victory over the Harbingers, Elena concluded, watching as reality itself danced with newfound freedom. It's the understanding that the strongest force in the universe isn't the power to impose your will. It's the wisdom to let reality choose its own destiny. As the Prometheus prepared for its next mission, Elena reflected on humanity's journey. They had faced an enemy that sought to collapse all possibility into a single, controlled reality. Humanity's response hadn't been to build a bigger fleet or more powerful weapons. Instead, they had given the universe itself the power to resist such control, to maintain infinite possibilities, to choose its own path forward. The legacy of one ship had become the freedom of all reality. And that was only the beginning.